Welcome, students. Thank you for joining me for another video. In this video, we will be looking at the grade 4 literacy test for June 2023. The time allotted is 40 minutes and there are 30 questions. Let's get to the first question. All right, it says to read the cover of the book carefully, then use it to answer questions 1 to 6. All right, so on the book, we see a price. It's for $1,400. Letter Writing Made Easy by Roy Scott. Book 4, first published in 2011 by Ian Wright Publishing. All right, as easy as 1, 2, 3. I think that would have been part of the title. For students in grades 3 and 4, illustrations by Joseph Green and Jim Cox. All right, so that's the cover of the book. Let's go to the questions. Question 1 says, make it a bit bigger. All right, so question 1 says, what is the title of the book? Is it Letter Writing Made Easy as 1, 2, 3, Ian Wright Publishing, for students in grades 3 and 4? And just to let you know, I have a book called Reading Made Easy. Okay, and that, well, actually 2 books with the easy title, but that's for another time, another place. All right, so let's look at the title, and the title says Letter Writing Made Easy. That's the title of the book. So for question 1, the answer is A. All right, let me go back to this. So the question 1, the answer is A. Letter Writing Made Easy. Let's go to question 2. Question 2 says, who is the author of the book? All right, so if we look at where we saw the heading, it said Letter Writing Made Easy by Roy Scott. That's the author of the book. And so for question, oh, I skipped ahead to question 3. All right, so question 2 says, for which students was the book intended? Was it grade 3, students in grade 3 only, students in grade 4 only, grades 3 and 4, or grades 4 and 5? Let's look carefully. All right, so this is now question 2. All right, so we'll go back to question 3 after. All right, so it says for students in grades 3 and 4. All right, here's the information right there. Students in grades 3 and 4. So the answer for question 2 would be C, grades 3 and 4. All right, and then of course we already looked at information for who's the author of the book, but because we were distracted by the question, let's go back to it. So it says by Roy Scott. So Letter Writing, as the title of the book, Letter Writing Made Easy, and it's written by Roy Scott. So we will go back to the question, and our correct answer is A, Roy Scott. Then it says, question 4, when was the book first published? All right, so let's look at the publishing information. And it says first published in 2011. Okay, so that's when the book was first published. So question 4, the answer is B, 2011. All right, question 5, what is the cost of the book? And the cost of the book was at the top of the cover right here, $1,400. All right, so the cost is C, 1,400. And then it says, for which subject would this book be most helpful? Is it art and craft, mathematics, language arts, or physical education? Let's go check. And it says Letter Writing Made Easy for grade students in grade 3 and 4. So for grade 3 and 4 students, of course, they will be learning how to write letters. And so that's a part of the language arts. So for 6, the answer is C. All right, so that's it for that. Now let's get to the second section. It says, read the passage below, then answer question 7 to 11. Okay, so let me make it a little smaller. All right. Hopefully you should be able to still see the information as I read. All right, so the big mango tree. All right. You know what? Let me make it a little bigger now that we have seen the entire thing. All right, so let's get to the story. The big mango tree. 5 children were studying. They were under the big mango tree near a playground. They watched as other children their age played on the swings. They didn't have time to play. They didn't have time to play. They were all doing their best to keep their grades the highest in their class. Janet looked around when she heard a deep voice. She thought she heard the voice say, "Go play." Carlos and Emmanuel began to explain something but stopped in mid-sentence. The boys looked at each other with mouths open. "Go have fun," a deep voice said. "You're a child only once." Now everybody looked around. The tree shook as if it were hit by a great wind. "Go and play," it thundered. All 5 children were out of there in a flash. And the source is Scott's Foreman Reading Street. All right, so the children were studying under the tree. They heard a voice saying, "Go play." They're wondering who was talking. A deep voice. They looked around and the tree was shaking and it thundered, "Go and play." All right, so the children were out of there in a flash. All right, so let's get to the first question. Where were the children studying? Was it under a tree, at home, at the playground, in the library? Where were they studying? And it says that 5 children were studying. They were under the big mango tree near a playground. So they were not on the playground, they were under the big mango tree near a playground. All right, so the answer for question 7 would be under a tree. All right, let's get to question 8. How many children were studying? All right, so the passage you would have seen that they called some names, but do not get sidetracked by the names they called. They think they mentioned Janet and they mentioned Carlos and Manuel. But if you read further down, it says all 5 children were out of there. So that tells us how many children were under the tree studying. The number is 5. Okay, so 5 children were studying. Yes, some names were called, but please make sure that you check all the information carefully so you don't miss something important. All right. Then it says, why was there no time to play? The children preferred to watch others playing, preferred to relax, cared more about getting good grades, did not like to play. Okay, why was it that the children said there was no time, or what? Why was that there was no time to play? And of course, they watched other children as other children their age played on the swings. They did not have time to play. They were all doing their best to keep their grades the highest in the class. So that's the reason they had no time to play. They were studying. So why was there no time to play? They cared more about getting good grades. That's why there was no time to play. All right, because of course other children found time to play, but for them, they cared more about getting good grades. All right, question 10. What is meant by thundered as used in the final line of the passage? Did it mean it was about to rain, it was getting windy, to run fast, or to speak loudly? Let's go back to where that was. All right, it said, "Go and play, it thundered." All right, so for me, right, it would mean, and of course that's what it means. Let me go to the question. It would mean to speak loudly, okay? That's what it means in this instance. All right, and then question 11, which best describes what is being suggested by the passage? That the children are too easily scared, the library is the best place to study, work and play are equally important, it is better to study in groups. So remember the children were sitting under the tree, they were studying, and then the boys, let me go back to it, says, go play. And it says, go have fun, you are a child only once, right? So yes, they were interested in studying, but of course, what is being suggested by the passage is that work and play are equally important. So you can't spend all your time studying, and you shouldn't spend all your time playing either, but there should be a good balance of both. All right, so that's that. Now time for questions 12 to 16. Remember, there are only 30 questions on this paper. All right, so we're going to examine the bar graph carefully, then use it to answer questions 12 to 16. The average lifespan of some animals, all right? So on this side, we have the number of years, and then we have the animals, and then we see for each animal how the number of years, the lifespan. So for a whale, it went up to the 70 bar right here. And then for a bear, it's 30 right there. Dog, 20. A cat is also 20. And a mouse, there's no number there, but of course it would be around, not even halfway, okay? But it's certainly less than 10. All right, because it's not yet at the 10 mark. So pretty much around half or 1/3 way, this would indicate right here. Okay, so let's go to what we would need to do. All right, so question 12 says, which two animals have the same average lifespan? So we're going to be looking to see what two animals would have the same number. And as already indicated based on what I said, the dog and the cat, they both have an average lifespan of 20. So the answer would be B, dog and cat. All right, they both have the same. All right, and then it asks, how many years is a bear likely to live? Is it 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 70 years? Go back to where the bear was, and we see that it's in line with 30. So they're likely to live about 30 years. All right. Then question 14 says, which animal has the shortest lifespan? And I just explained about this animal, but let's go look. All right, so the shortest lifespan, again, the mouse, it didn't even reach 10 years. So the mouse would have the shortest lifespan. So that's C. And then, which animal lives longer than 50 years? So again, let's go back to the chart. We're not trying to play a guessing game here, looking at the information that's presented. And the only animal there over 50 years would be the whale that has an average lifespan of 70 years. All right, so that's A, the whale. And then it says, which statement is true? A dog may live as long as a bear, which is not true. A dog may live longer than 30 years. Again, not true. It's about 20 years. A mouse may live longer than a cat. Not true, because of course the mouse had the shortest lifespan. A mouse may live less than 10 years. That, I think, would be the correct answer, but let's go back to look. All right, so we know this one is true, the mouse less than 10 years, and of course, based on the information that is presented, then the others would not be true. So the correct answer would be that the mouse may live less than 10 years, okay? Remember, it was the cat and the dog that had the same lifespan, average lifespan, not the dog and the bear. So A would not be correct. And of course, the dog's average lifespan was 20, so it's not going to live longer than 30. All right, and the mouse certainly would not live longer than a cat, or most likely would not live longer than a cat. All right, so let's get to question. Okay, now another. So we're going to read a passage carefully, then answer items 17 to 21. All right, here's a passage in its entirety. All right, let me put it down a bit so we can see it all together. I like for the students to be able to see all of what's there, and then we can make it bigger to read the information. All right, so Women in Sports is an article. I'm going to now make it bigger so I can read it, and hopefully you guys will also be able to see it on screen. All right, so Women in Sports, Saturday, February 25, 2023, Volume 4, Stephanie Roxanne Taylor. So Stephanie Roxanne Taylor was born on June 11, 1991 in Jamaica. Beginning in 2008, she has played for the West Indies women's team over 250 times. She was also captain of the West Indies women's cricket team from 2018 to 2022. Taylor began playing cricket at an early age. Before she began playing cricket, she was interested in other sports. These included football and netball. At about 8 years old, she started playing cricket. She later represented Eltham High School in several different competitions. She has played in Guyana, Australia, England, and New Zealand. Her highest score was 171. She has also represented the Sydney Thunders and Adelaide Strikers, two teams from Australia. Throughout her career as a cricketer, she has received several awards, including Women's Cricketer of the Year. She was also given the Order of Distinction on October 17, 2016, for her outstanding contribution to women's cricket. The source, FAASB. Okay, so let's go to the first question, and of course, we'll come back to the passage as needed to answer the questions. All right, it says, where was Stephanie Taylor born? Was it Jamaica, Australia, Guyana, England? Let's go back to check. And it says she was born on June in Jamaica. Okay, so there's our answer. She was born in Jamaica. So the answer is A. Question 18. What was Stephanie Taylor's highest score in a cricket match? All right, so let's look for where they told us about her cricket score. And it says, okay, she played for the West Indies team over 250 times. That's not the score. She has played in Guyana, Australia. Her highest score was 171. So here's our answer. Her highest score was 171. So B would be our answer, 171. All right, it says, for which team, question 19, for which team was Stephanie Taylor captain? All right, so which team was she a captain of? She played on many different teams, but in the first paragraph, it says she was also captain of the West Indies team. So she was captain of the West Indies women's team. So there we have it. She played in Guyana, Australia, high score she represented, but it didn't say anything about her being a captain in that paragraph. So it would have been the captain of the West Indies team. The answer is A. Question 20. When did Taylor first play for the West Indies women's team? Was it 2022, 2018, 2016, 2008? Let's go look. When did she first play for the West Indies? All right, so in the first paragraph again, it says beginning in 2008, she has played for the West Indies team over 250 times. So beginning in 2008. So that's when she started with the West Indies team. So I would say B. Sorry, I would say D, 2008. Okay, be careful of your dates. We all can make mistakes, so we have to be super, super careful. All right, question 21. What is meant by Taylor began playing at an early age? She may have started playing cricket in England, in Australia, when she was in primary school, when she was in high school. Let's look at the information. All right, so it says Taylor began playing cricket at an early age. And so they said before she was playing cricket, she was interested in other sports, right? Including football and netball. At about age 8, she started playing cricket. So at age 8, you would have been in primary school, right? And then it said she later represented a high school. But at age 8, she started playing cricket. So it says started playing cricket when she was in primary school. It didn't state specifically, but based on her age, she would have been in primary school or at primary school age at this time. Okay, so moving on. All right, so a student bought some items from the school stock shop. The receipt for the items is shown below. Use it to answer questions 22 to 26. All right, we're getting through this paper fairly quickly, which is good, I suppose. But guys, take your time to answer the questions. Do not rush through. Take all the time that you need. All right. So I'm going to make it smaller so we can see the entire receipt. And then, of course, I'll then expand it so we can look at the information. So the receipt is there. I'm going to look at it in parts now. So I'll make it bigger again so we can see everything on it. All right. So a student bought some items from the school stock shop. All right. So it's New Leaf Primary Tuck Shop. The address is there on the receipt. New Green PO Manchester. The telephone number is there. Don't know what information we'll need as yet. This is the receipt. It has a receipt number. It tells us who the cashier is, Maria. There's a date on it and a time. Okay. And it shows us the item purchased and the amount. So she purchased a small fried chicken breast for $4.50, then extra rice for $50, orange juice $100, fried plantain $100. Her total was $700. The amount tendered, meaning how much she gave them. She gave them $1,000 and her change was $300. All right, and at the end of the receipt, it says, thank you for shopping with us. Please come again. All right, so let's go to the questions. All right, let's reduce the size just a bit. So again, like I said, there's this different information on our receipt that is usually given to help with, right? So there's a receipt number, the date, and all of that. Everything is there. All right, so let's get to the first question. How many items did the student purchase? How many items did the student purchase? All right, so she purchased a small fried chicken, extra rice, orange juice, fried plantain. So she purchased 4 items. So for question 22, the answer is B, 4 items. Let's get to question 23. In which month were the items bought? Was it June, September, October, November? Let's go look at the date on the receipt. It says the 29th of the 10th. The 10th month is October. So it was purchased in October. The answer is C. 29th of October. All right, then it says, what is the total paid for the items bought? What is the total paid? Okay, was it 300, 700, 1,000, or 2,022? All right, so the total, there's a total, all right, was 700. Okay, so that's what she paid for the items. Yes, she paid with a $1,000 bill, but she actually paid $700 for the items because she got change back. So she didn't pay $1,000 for the items. The total was 700. All right, so we have to be mindful of that. All right, how much did she actually pay for the items? And it says, which part of the chicken does the student prefer to have? And I think I remember, but it says the breast. Okay, so the student preferred the breast. All right, so we're gonna circle A, select A, the breast. All right. And then it says the items on the receipt are most likely for the students. What? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snack? All right. So we can look at the type of food that the student purchased, and we can also look at some other details. So let's go back to the receipt to see whether we think it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a snack. All right. So it says small fried chicken, extra rice. We normally don't usually eat rice for breakfast, and if the student is at school, it's been purchased from school, then I think it would be for lunch, not a snack. That would be too much for a snack, right? Fried plantain and all of that. All right, and if we look at the date on the receipt, the date is at 12:05 p.m. That's around midday. So I'm thinking that this was purchased for lunch. All right, so we have to look at all the clues, okay, to give us the best choice. All right, so I'm thinking that it's for lunch. The answer is B. All right, so questions 27 to 30, read the passage and answer questions 27 to 30. So we are almost at the end of this is the end, the final section of the paper. All right, it says Jordan returns to school. On the morning that school reopened, Jordan was feeling very miserable. He grumbled to himself all through breakfast. He had spent many happy days fishing and relaxing down by the river. He played exciting games of cricket, football, basketball, and dominoes with his friends who were also on holiday. But today was the first day of school. 8 weeks, he felt, was not long enough to be away from school. All right, and that's written by Clifford Narine Singh or Nearing Singh. All right, so question 27 says, what made Jordan miserable? Was it the 8 weeks of holiday, eating breakfast, the walk to school, or the reopening of school? What made him miserable? All right, so on the morning that school reopened, he was feeling miserable because I'm assuming because he had to go back to school. Today was the first day of school and 8 weeks was not been long enough. All right, so what made Jordan miserable? The reopening of school. He wasn't ready for school to start. All right, so the answer is D. Question 28, Jordan grumbled to himself. This means that he was what? Not enjoying the food, quietly complaining, already full, or complaining loudly. So he grumbled to himself. All right, it means that he was complaining quietly. All right, if he was grumbling to himself, he was making a fuss, but not very loud to himself. Okay, nobody else might have heard him. All right. But just to be sure, if you want to check, let's go back to where it says in the passage, even though he says he grumbled to himself all through breakfast, to himself. That indicates to us he was not talking to somebody, so he was not necessarily being loud. He was complaining quietly. All right. And then, which best describes Jordan's holiday? Boring, enjoyable, long, miserable. All right. So Jordan told us about all the different games, and we were told about the different games Jordan played. He spent days fishing and relaxing by the river, cricket, football, basketball, dominoes. All right. So he had a lot of fun. So for question 29, his holiday had been enjoyable. Okay. Not boring, definitely not boring. All right. And yeah, of course, he didn't think it was long enough. It certainly wasn't miserable. All right. So which holiday was Jordan on before returning to school? All right, so the first day of school is usually in September, and just before September would have been summer. So it was a summer holiday. All right, so the answer is D, summer. But just to be sure, let's go back to the passage. All right. So, but today was the first day of school. 8 weeks he felt was not long enough. So usually you get that holiday, 8 weeks of holiday thereabout, in the months before heading back to school in September. So of course, again, that is the summer holiday. Guys, please remember to subscribe to this channel, share it with a friend, like the video, leave your comments in the comment section. And of course, we have summer school coming up. We have classes. If you want to be part of our summer classes, or you want to book a private session where I can give you one-on-one attention, then you can let me know in the comments and we'll see how to get in contact with each other. All right, so take care, and as usual, I will see you in the next video.